Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing well. We're going to talk today about the health industry and how to make money from it, because it seems like everywhere you go, people are diving into health sector stocks, the health sector side, because of not only an aging um, demographic, right? But all of a sudden, what we went through in the last couple of years, people are starting to see things about, hey, we want to take better care of ourselves. We want to do things that are different than what we were doing before. And there's a lot of money to be made. So we're going to talk about different cycles and things like that. So without further ado, let's do this. Okay, here we go, guys. So the deal is the health industry is a very interesting thing, because we know that there is so much money to be made when it comes to big pharmaceutical companies. People have invested in stocks. They've made money that way. They've made money in retirement homes. They've made money in so many different directions. It's crazy, right? So to say that there's huge opportunities in investing in the health sector it goes without saying. However, there's a lot of things that people miss when it comes to investing that I like to talk about, and that is following cycles and finding new trends. You guys know that I've been an investor since, well, the late 90s, and I've invested in everything from stocks to mutual funds, ETFs. I've actually invested in partnerships for drilling for oil. I became an accredited investor so I could go do that. Invested in real estate and all those kind of things. Cryptocurrencies. I like to, and it wasn't until I got into real estate before everybody else got into it, and then got into crypto before a lot of people got into it, that I started to really realize how important it was to get in before everyone else gets in, right? The masses, because the most money is made at the bottom going up to the top 2/3 of that parabolic curve in any cycle. So there's tons of money to be made there. So to give you a couple, I thought of some ideas, some examples of big cycles that happened that people invested in early, and became uber wealthy. Okay, so one of them obviously being the tech sector, or the internet craze. When the internet was new, so many people didn't know what to do with it. They would plug into America Online, and they would like, hey, you're on the internet, and it was very archaic, but it was an exciting thing. Well, very few people understood how valuable the internet was for so many things, especially selling things. And I'll give you an example of it was a Jeff Bezos that started Amazon. He started pretty much out of his garage, and he was selling books online, and he got made fun of like crazy by so many people. And they said, "You're nuts. This is not going to go anywhere." He saw the future. He goes, "No, I'm going to be able to reach such an expanded audience." Like for me in the early 2000s, in about 19 actually it was like 1998, 1999, I was selling electric trains on online, and I was crushing it. I liked electric trains. I never really played with them, but I go to garage sales and pick them up, or I go to stores and find them on sale. I'd list them online, and instead of being able to sell them in my local town in the classified section, that's how we sold things back then, I would be able to put them online, and I would be able to reach anybody in the United States that was looking at that website. So the power of the internet was tremendous, right? Well, there was tons of money to be made there because people started investing in stocks, they were building companies, so on and so forth. All right, so that's one. Another thing is, the bank stocks. The banking sector had a huge explosion in the early 2000s because of mortgage lending. When mortgages were in high demand because real estate was blowing up in the early 2000s, people were investing in stocks, they were investing in bonds, they were investing in all kinds of things related to the real estate sector, and they were making a killing, right? Now that obviously ended. But then it picked up again. People started buying, those stocks again. Another one, and this is the one that's really big to me because I never invested in it, and it was because I had my own personal feelings of it, and I'm sure everyone has a very strong feeling one way or the other about this, but this is the cannabis sector. I knew people that were investing in the stocks. I even knew some people that were actually growing cannabis for all these different reasons, medical reasons. Some people I knew that were growing hemp for production, for all kinds of different stuff. And the science was absolutely amazing. This is where we actually got where I got all of my education when it came to aquaponics and hydroponics, was from marijuana growers, right? Or hemp growers. So I think it's really important to learn about these things beforehand, because there's tons of money to be made. Well, in the case of cannabis, there were stocks that were coming out that were increasing 10x. And there were some people that got in, and I remember seeing them and I go, that's not for me, and I missed that boat. It's one thing to use it, it's another thing to invest in it, right? So, and the facts are, I do know some people that have had amazing success health-wise from the benefits of cannabis, okay? I don't need it, thank heavens, I don't use it, but quite frankly, who am I to sit there and, scoff at somebody? Because quite frankly, most of the medications that we use every day, or antibiotics, weren't around 100 years ago. So the truth is, there is medical advancements like crazy that are happening. So I'm like, all right, let me think about this a little bit more. So there's a couple of things that I found, and that's when the government finally decides, when they're going from, we don't know anything about this sector, so it's illegal, like the marijuana industry. Many people don't realize this. A little tidbit of information for you. The reason why marijuana was first illegal, to the best of my ability, I'm going to remember this story. It was actually because of Randolph Hearst, because I believe it was William Randolph Hearst, because he owned paper mills and he was producing paper. And a competitor figured out how to use hemp to make paper faster and cheaper. At least the way the story goes, Randolph Hearst got so angry and got so frustrated with this guy, and he was concerned that he was going to take over his paper operations and put him in the poorhouse. He went through the law, through the government, to have laws passed to make it illegal. So that was a really interesting story. I heard that once when I was up actually at Hearst Castle in a tour, with the tour guide was telling us, the docent was telling us that story. So the point is that there's a certain point where the government goes from hands off to hands on, right? And that's the very interesting moment, right? If you can get in before they go hands on and they start to regulate something, and they go, okay, this is going to go from illegal to, all right, we're going to allow it, and then allowing companies to start, the scientists to dive in, figure out how to use whatever substances we're talking about, to make money, for humanity's good, right? So there is a situation that's happening right now, and it still is really in the early phases. Now, I'm not invested in this, but it's actually becoming very interesting to me, and that is the use of, and it's really disruptive, okay? So to be honest with you, marijuana, the use of cannabis for health purposes, and CBD oils and things like that, hugely disruptive, all right? Whereas normally somebody with, let's say, glaucoma, or I'm not a doctor, and guys, I'm not a doctor. Don't take any of this as health advice, financial advice, or anything. I'm just a dude with a brohawk and a dream. I'm not a professional in any sense of the form, but I am an investor, and I like to look at different ways that I can make money. However, everything has a risk, right? So, using CBD oils for certain things, or for ailments like glaucoma and arthritis, there's so many different reasons people are taking this stuff. You can't deny it, right? Well, the industry that I'm talking about is using psychedelics. I'm seeing companies that are starting to come up and use mushrooms, psychedelics, in very interesting ways. Specifically, what I've found, because Mike Tyson was somebody that's went on, I believe it was Joe Rogan, and he was talking about how it's absolutely changed his life. And he was touting this and saying, how he takes a little bit at a time. And again, everyone has to do their own research. This is really sketchy stuff to me. It's almost like you have to allow the professionals to the scientists to figure out how to do this stuff, because you start eating stuff and all of a sudden you start going crazy, going on some crazy trip. And of course, like I said, I've never done that. But you can't deny like what happened in the cannabis industry. There was tons of money to be made. So when I talk about these psychedelic mushrooms, there are companies that are out there leading the charge, and this video is actually being sponsored by one of them. And I wanted to talk about them and some things that are really interesting, because like I said, I mean, you're literally watching me on a journey, like diving into something, and I'm not diving, I'm like looking, going, is this something where if it goes, it could be as big or bigger than the marijuana industry and the hemp industry, the CBD oil industry, because it's dealing with something that's a little different, okay? So the industry is as a whole, and actually, you know what, before I go any further, let me talk about the sponsor real quick. The name of the company is WESA Health, and it trades on the OTC boards under the ticker WSNAF, okay? WSNAF, WESA Health, okay? So the industry as a whole, and specifically this company, WESA Health, is studying the effects of psychedelics like the mushrooms to heal or help people with a few different things. PTSD, and I do know people that suffer from PTSD, and I know how very serious it is. So if we can find something that can help them, oh my goodness, I'm all for it. Another thing is depression, addiction, and anxiety. So these are four aspects of our lives, of human beings, that affect human beings, that are very serious. And if there is something that we could do to find a solution, then I am all for that. At the same time, if we're able to do a natural solution, sorry, I got some notes that I want to read you in a second. They're blowing everywhere. If we can actually, help people do it safely, That means there's actually a lot of money too. And hopefully that these solutions are going to be much cheaper than going with big pharma. All right. Because to be honest with you, I just have a feeling that that is getting, I don't like seeing big pharma take advantage of people, like this whole insulin situation. All right, so a couple things. I want to tell the story about the founder, and that's why I had to bring this, because there's no way I'm going to remember this. And it's really interesting, because I talked about Mike Tyson, but this is also someone that's famous that founded this company. So it was founded by Daniel Curcilio, hopefully I got the pronunciation right, who for 9 seasons played hockey professionally in the NHL. Most famously, he was on with the Chicago Blackhawks. After winning 2 Stanley Cups, he was literally at the top of his game, but the next chapter of his life would be more challenging than any hockey game he's ever played, it says. His heroics on the hockey rinks started to take its toll after 7 concussions. Was forced to retire in 2015 at the young age of 30 due to a condition known as post-concussion syndrome. The symptoms included light sensitivity, slurred speech, insomnia, headaches, head pressure, anxiety, depression, and ultimately suicidal thoughts. Unfortunately, the NHL didn't properly address his brain trauma. He had to be his own advocate. So what he did is he had given traditional medicine a shot, and he was having a hard time getting a solution to all these issues. And then what happened is after spending thousands of dollars, he actually jumped into a non-traditional medicine, and that's what we're talking about here. And it was mushrooms containing these pronunciations. Guys, do me a favor. I'm gonna probably destroy this word, not on purpose. I want you to try and phonetically spell it out in the comments for me. Physocabian, and I could hear it like 5 times and still do the same thing. I don't know why. In combination with evidence-based therapies and other plant medicines, fungi, and the results were miraculous. He had these brain scans done, and I'll try and throw up a slide of the brain scans, the before and after, and his brain started to heal itself. It was absolutely amazing. So he was so blown away with the results from this, he started this company. So he started Wasana Health. Now, a couple things that I like about this. First off, Daniel is the largest shareholder. He owns about 22% of the stock, if my memory serves me right. The company's scientific board is comprised of scientists that already developed well-known drugs and brought them through the entire phase to the market with other companies that they've worked on. So they have a great staff. They are right now in the process. They actually requested it's called an investigative new drug meeting. It's actually called a pre-IND in the FDA world. They requested that with the FDA, and the FDA has granted them this pre-meeting. So the FDA is now in the works right now to talk to them and start working on how do we look at this? How do we present this to the world? Is this working? And they're literally working on it right now. They have 2 clinics, I believe, in the Chicago area. And so they're already treating many, many patients. I want to say 4,000 if my memory serves me right. I've got a slide deck to be able to show you guys to give you an idea of this. And it's not always for, and just in full disclosure, I don't own this stock. I have not invested in this sector. This is brand new to me. As a matter of fact, I heard the Joe Rogan podcast a little while ago of Mike Tyson talking to Joe Rogan, and I've seen Mike Tyson talk about this before, and this was all new to me. And this I just learned about this probably about 4 months ago, that this is even a possibility. And there's a huge following online about this. So I wanted to bring it to you because I would be remiss to not bring you this opportunity. And this is the sponsor of the video, so I'm super stoked. And guys, this isn't a recommendation to buy the stock, sell the stock, or any, I never recommend to buy or sell any stocks. I'm really big on just giving you guys ideas, bringing you the truth. And I think this is something that should have been checked out. Now, another thing too, the company does have patents pending right now. Their provisional patents have been issued. So actually, I apologize. They're provisional patents, not patents pending. And these cover very large markets in the health industry. One of which being depression. Okay, so the patents of using this to help cure depression, that is a $14.7 billion industry. And also anxiety meds comprise, they're approximately $7.4 billion industry. So if you think about that, this company is already starting to make headway. They have already put in for patents and been issued provisional patents. They are talking with the FDA. So I thought it would be a really good idea to bring you guys this story. And again, it's one of those that are very interesting because this is a new technology. This is something that, companies, weren't necessarily known for, using psychedelics such as mushrooms to be able to heal people of certain ailments. So this is something that I would put akin to being in first in the cannabis industry, or being, before the .com stock started coming out. Because if this goes somewhere, and there's risk with everything, right? But if this works, the FDA goes, yeah, we like this, like you can continue moving forward, well, then there's going to be tons of other companies popping up. But if you're able to get into the companies that were spearheading, that had the first market mover advantage, well, now you've got something really powerful. So again, this isn't me telling you to buy or sell the stock. I don't own it, but I'm not joking when I say that I am looking into this industry, because I think that's very interesting. And the fact that the owner, Daniel, let's see, Daniel, look at me. Daniel is not only the founder and he owns 22% of it, he's also somebody that his life has been radically changed because of it. So I think that is really, really important. So guys, if you want to take a look at the information, I'm gonna have the information of the company down in the description below. I think there could be something here. So I'd love for you to take a look at it. I want to thank Wasana Health for sponsoring this video, which helps me get more information out to you guys. I thank you so much for that, guys. With that being said, I thank you. The Economic Ninja is out.